These right here are finally making a huge comeback. But why now? What's cooking my rock and rolls? Today we're going to be discussing the surge of physical media appreciation that I've seen happening all across the internet. But more importantly, why is it happening? I won't bore you with explaining what physical media is because I feel like most of you already know some type of form of it. Physical media basically means that physical copies of stuff you enjoy, whether it be books, movies, music, etc., that are in physical forms that you own and that they're yours, basically. Examples could be CDs, records, vinyls, books, comic books, graphic novels, movies, Blu-ray discs. There's hundreds of examples that I'm sure all of you know. In recent years, we've seen things such as vinyl make a huge comeback and even hit 1 billion in sales last year, which is kind of outstanding and mind-blowing if you think about it. And every time I go to Barnes & Noble, which albeit, it's not often, but every time I do go, it's always packed with people reading books, different genres, all different ages, shapes and sizes of people. Like, people love reading books. Now, this video is mainly going to be about like physical media, like movies and like Blu-rays, because that's just because what I have the most experience in. But the sentiment obtains to all things physical media. For as long as I can remember, physical media has always been a part of my life since, well, forever, frankly. I can't remember a time where I didn't have it. I still remember as a kid in like the early 2000s going to Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, both usually on the same night because they were like a block away from each other where I lived. Go to Blockbuster here to look, oh, they got these movies. Then you go to Hollywood Video, okay, I gotta use some of my allowance to go to Hollywood Video too. Just browsing all the different stuff they had. Man, times were simpler back then. I would spend hours browsing, looking at the different covers, reading the synopsis on the back. Oh my gosh, should I get this or this? The main things I bought were like creature features, like anything with a monster or creature attacking people I loved. The old Toho Godzilla movies were my favorite and still are some of my favorites to this day. I even remember collecting the old VHS tapes when I was little. I still have some of them. I still have like Indiana Jones trilogy, original Jurassic Park trilogy. I think some Godzilla VHS. I'm not 100% sure, but I have some of those. And yes, I even had, now sit down people, I even had the complete collection of all the Land Before Time movies on VHS. I know, ladies, I know, keep your panties on, I know. We all know the trend, at least with movies. It started with VHSs, then it moved to DVDs, then that morphed into Blu-rays, and now 4Ks, which is kind of where we're at now. For my entire life, I've always had physical media, and to this day, I still have many forms of it. For example, here is my, I guess you could say, comic book slash graphic novel slash a few other types of books, kind of reading materials. Here's my, I guess you call regular Blu-rays, like studio releases, Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, etc. And finally, my favorite shelf of movies, and that is my boutique stuff. So this is, boutique versus studio. I'll explain later in the video, but my boutique stuff, you have Arrow Video, Criterion, Kino Lorber, etc., etc. All the stuff that the mainstream studios do not put out. As you can see, physical media is something that is near and dear to my heart, and it always will be, and that will never change. It is interesting though, because over the last recent years, we've seen the general public's attitude change on physical media, almost like it's flipped. It's very weird. I remember when streaming was just coming about in the early to mid 2010s, and everyone started saying, why do you still collect Blu-rays? Don't you know everything's going to be on streaming? Oh, it's the way of the future. For many years, you would have looked down upon or even looked as weird if you collected physical media because of the whole, emergence of what we would later become streaming services. Not just collecting, even just advocating for, hey, I think it's better you own your own stuff. Even that you were looked down upon, which is really strange to think back and look back at. However, though, it seems that in 2026, that sentiment is changing, and it's changing pretty fast. As of 2026, I keep seeing articles pop up saying, oh, I love physical media, the importance for physical media, why Gen Z and younger people are embracing physical media, etc., etc. There's tons of articles that have come out recently in favor of physical media. That is all fantastic news, and I love seeing all the love and support physical media is getting. But the big question I have is, why now? Why now of all of a sudden all this love for physical media? Because even just a year ago, that was not the case. It's only this year where I've seen such a huge love and outpouring of physical media. And like I said, I love seeing it, but I can't help but think, why? And don't get me wrong, I love seeing people finally join, the superior side of watching movies, because that's what we are, us physical media collectors. We're on the superior side. We're on the right side of history in this side. Another big question I have is, why is it Gen Z, my generation, why is it young people that's driving this trend? You would think it would be like, oh, the older millennials, the Gen Xers, because they had those things, and Gen Z, we're mostly thought of as like, the plugged-in internet generation. So it's just interesting that we're the ones driving this, trend. Now, I don't have all the answers, and this video is not going to be like, oh, hey, I have all the answers. This video is just going to be a kind of brief, quick thoughts as to some of the reasons why I think, this is happening. So, with that said, let's begin. One reason I have is, I think the biggest reason people have nowadays, and that is streaming services are getting just too damn expensive. I mean, let's be real. I mean, Netflix just raised their prices recently, and it's almost $30. I mean, that's for one service. Now, granted, people say, oh, you get a lot on Netflix, which you do, but how much that stuff is good and actually watchable? Let's be real. If you're someone that wants to keep up to date, or you have like different shows and different platforms, you are going to easily spend over $100 to watch all that stuff per month. On the same kind of topic, the price increases are not going to stop. Like I just said, Netflix raised theirs. Amazon just, not a price increase, but Amazon took away their 4K streaming if you don't pay for the ad-free stuff, which is okay. Okay, it's kind of fucked, but all right. Paramount is buying Warner Bros. Now, which that in the future, once the deal goes through, both Paramount Plus and HBO Max, if it's still around, are going to get huge price increases because of it. Sure, there are ways you could mitigate the cost. You could buy, the ad-supported tiers, of the prices, where like you get the stuff, but you just have ads placed in between. I mean, yeah, you have to deal with ads, which kind of sucks, but if it's cheaper for you and that works for you, I mean, hey, that's good. Or you could just buy Tubi, the best streaming services. There's a video on my channel describing that. Just go watch it. Another reason why I think streaming is a bad option is something I alluded to earlier, and that is the ratio between good and bad stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, all the platforms, they do have good stuff on there. They're buried a lot of times, but they are on there. However, for the price you're paying, I'd argue a lot of the stuff on modern streaming services are trash. Let's be real. That combined with the rising cost, yeah, it's not a surprise that people are going to be canceling their streaming services and finding their entertainment elsewhere. With all that said, let's move away from why streaming is bad, and let's look at some of the options I presented here as to why physical media is better in my opinion. Again, this is not a concrete explanation or results, this is just my brief thoughts. One of the reasons is, I think it reminds people of a simpler time and a simpler way of doing things. It reminds them of watching something and not having to be plugged into the internet 24/7 to be ordered to access and even watch it. It reminds them of not having to keep track of a certain show, a movie they're watching that goes off one service and goes on another one, and they're like, hey, where to go? Or what service to go to? What? Like, huh? You don't gotta worry about all that. It reminds them of not having the pain of logging into a streaming service with your TV remote on your television, which, let's be honest, is pure modern day torture. Logging into a streaming services with your TV remote, or just log into anything with your TV remote, it feels like this. Another reason I think physical media is good is the collecting aspect of it. We all love to collect things, whether it be, stamps, books, rocks. Yeah, I don't know. People love to collect all different things. In this case, it's movies. People love to collect stuff. It's fun to go to Blu-ray.com and see the latest deals of movies you're thinking about getting, or maybe there's a movie you're like, oh, okay, I might get that, and then it goes down for a good price, and you're like, oh, I gotta get it now. That happened to me a lot this year. I love seeing the upcoming releases that are coming out in the coming months. It gives you something to look forward to. It's also fun watching your physical collection grow over time, and eventually you're looking at it going like, wow, that's just, wow. On the same topic, it's also fun seeing the different ways people collect and how they collect. Maybe they only collect horror movies. Maybe this person only collects foreign movies. Maybe this person only collects movies before 1950. I don't know. It's just fun seeing everyone's different taste and, things they like. There are so many things you can do with collecting. Like the ones I just mentioned, maybe you only collect a certain actor, you only collect a certain director or genre. There's lots and lots of things you can do to collecting. And the collecting aspect is something that leads into my next point, and that is the community aspect of it. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to collect stuff, but it's even more fun to share your passion and your hobbies with other people. Now with the internet, it's more easier than ever. There's Facebook groups, Reddit forums, YouTube channels dedicated to physical media that have people coming back over and over again in the comments watching a certain creator's content. It's, like I said, it's a little community. You know, it's nice knowing that you're not alone in whatever hobby you have. In this case, you know, collecting physical media makes it better. You know, it's fun to show off like, hey guys, I got this, and someone goes, oh, that's pretty cool, check out my stuff. Or you comment something and someone says, oh, you like this movie, you might like this movie here, which that could also lead down a bad path, because then you end up spending more money on stuff you didn't know you needed, and then your collection grows. So I won't talk about that. That's kind of the downside. We gotta keep this video upbeat. That's the downside about it. The most important point is it gives people a sense of community and belonging, and in this world about, you know, with this ever-increasing, you know, entrapment of technology, mainly with AI coming, a lot of people are going to be feeling lonely, and they're going to want that sense of community, and collecting something gives them that. And the last reason is, one, I've kind of already talked about, but I'm going to reiterate here because I think it's the most important, is it's just fun. It's plain fun.
You're goddamn right.
For all the reasons I just listed, it's fun, you know, collecting, it's fun showing other people your collection, whether it be in person or online, organizing your collection the way you want to, collecting studio releases, boutique labels, which that leads to the question which I referred to earlier. Some people might ask, well, what's the difference between, you know, studio releases and boutique labels? Which my answer would be, peasants don't know that. No, I'm kidding. The examples is, actually, you know what? Let's talk about it right here. Okay guys, now the fun part of the video I was looking forward to, that's showing off some of my stuff. So for a studio release like a Warner Brothers, Disney, here's an example. So this is Ben-Hur, which came out recently, an old kind of epic movie from the 50s. I think it was 50s. Yeah, 59. So this would be like your standard studio release. So you got like, you know, the cover, side, back, cover, and it's a slip cover. So this comes off, we got this, spin this around underneath, and inside, I flipped it over so you can't see it, I already used it, but whatever. You got the digital code. This movie's long, because, you know, I think it's, yeah, so 220 minutes, so it's over 3 hours. So because of that, this movie was split up in between, like, the 4K is 2 discs, so it was like, we had like, you know, the first half before the intermission, we had the second half, and then like a Blu-ray special features. So this is a Warner Brothers movie, I think it was. Yeah, Warner Bros. So what Warner Brothers is doing recently is it's just 4K. There's no like Blu-ray. They used to do like, oh, you get a Blu-ray, the 4K, and the Blu-ray disc. So you get both options in the same package. But Warner Bros., I think, is the only company that's just doing 4K and digital code only. That's something new they've been doing. But that's like your stereotypical, like, you know, studio release. That's one. Let's see what else. Look at my notes here. Let's see what else. Arrow. So Arrow also does kind of like that. So this is like a standard Arrow release. This is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which is a fantastic movie from the 80s. So again, just like Ben-Hur, you got, you know, the cover, and you pull it out, and it's just, you know, the case with, you know, the disc and the little booklet that Arrow adds, which is pretty cool. So that's like a standard Arrow, but they also have what I like, their limited editions is what they're called, or I call them premium. So let's pull this. Let me put this back. Okay, so this would be an example of like a premium limited edition Arrow, or like big chunky box is what some people call them. So this is Hard Boiled that Arrow put out, an old, you know, fantastic John Woo action movie, Hong Kong. So do this 360 here. And then again, it has like a slip cover for the box, and basically the same thing. It's like a hard box. And they also have all this. So this slides out. So first you have the movie. So this is like a reversible art. So you have the case, and what Arrow does, and a lot of companies do this too, is you can also pull it out, and it's like you got two different posters. So that's pretty cool. I'll put that back. And Arrow also does these like cards here. which some people like, some people don't. I can kind of go just whatever. Okay, and also with Arrow, so you got like the 4K disc. They don't do like 4K and Blu-ray versions of their movies in the same package, so we got the 4K regular disc and like a, the Blu-ray extra. So yeah, so we got like the case. Sometimes they only do like special features. Like usually they do like the movie on one disc and special features on another, but sometimes it's on the same disc. Their limited editions also come with these cool like books about like behind the scenes, which is pretty cool. And the coolest thing, in my opinion, a lot of people's, is you also get a poster with their limited editions. Let me unpull this. Might have to back up for this. So it folds out. I think it's 16 by 20 inches. Let me do this. So like there's like the original like Hong Kong poster, and then you have the, I think the artist Tony Stella. I think that's who does the art like for the Blu-ray case and the poster. But that, I mean, come on. Just, let me move this microphone out of the way. Like, look at that. How cool is that? Oh man. Yeah, so that's all like, that was like the boutique stuff and the studio releases, but there's also some others in terms of like, cool collecting. And that is, so here's one. So this is Planet Earth, which is like a nature documentary narrated by David Attenborough by BBC Earth over in the UK. So here it is. It's like I said, it's a nature documentary. These look amazing. If you have like a good like 4K TV, these look incredible. This is a Blu-ray, not a 4K, but you can see this is kind of a cool like different type of packaging. So it's the globe, Earth, and obviously, let me move this. You open it up. It's cool, like little like rainforest jungle type in the dome, and you have the disc. I gotta be careful how I do this. Kind of all set out here. So the disc, you can kind of see just inside there. They slide out, which is pretty cool. And this one is exclusively numbered. So this one is 13,156 out of 50,000 of like releases. Like it was a limited number, so that's pretty cool. I don't know if you can still get this. This is a couple years old. But yeah, that's also a cool one. And another one, this is just one that I did myself. So this is another thing that you can do in terms of like collecting your own and having your own like taste and stuff. So this is the Ray Harryhausen collection. So Ray Harryhausen, if you don't know, was like a huge like stop motion animator way back in the day with like Voyage of Sinbad, Jason the Argonauts, the old Clash of the Titans movies, just a legend in terms of stop motion animation. So in this original set, I'll have here, it came with it came from Beneath the Sea, Earth vs. the Flying Saucers, 20 million miles to Earth, and then the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. That was what was originally in this set, and I kind of transformed it and did my own type of collection. So for Sinbad, I kept the cover, so Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, but I added all the Sinbad movies, because there's 3 of them. So I got Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. So I have all 3 in this one little case, which a lot of people, they don't like that. They like having, they're kind of spiffy with, like I need it this way and this way, which, hey, to each their own. This is just kind of how I do it sometimes. So there's that. I have Jason the Argonauts, which inside is Jason the Argonauts and Clash of the Titans. Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand, big sword and sorcery, fantasy. This was the It Came From Beneath the Sea, but if you open it up, I have It Came From Beneath the Sea. Move back for a little bit. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, sorry. Earth vs. the Flying Saucers, and then 20 Million Miles to Earth. So I kind of have all his other, blue screen, all his other like sci-fi monster movies in one little case. And then the last one I added was 1 Million Years BC, which this iconic shot of Raquel Welch in this movie, which I think was the only time Harryhausen's work got overshadowed. But in this one, you have 1 million years BC, the international cut, which is longer, has more scenes, and the Valley of Gwangi. That's how you pronounced it, Gwangi, yeah. Which I think they used the same stop-motion dinosaurs in each movie. That's kind of why I put them together. So because of this, instead of having just 4 movies in my Harryhausen collection, I have 2, 4, that's 6, 8. So I have 11. So I have 11 movies in this set, which originally came with 4. Not everyone's into that, kind of rearranging discs without cover arts. Everyone's different, but this is just what I like to do with this, so I thought that was pretty cool. I just wanted to share it. And also, sticking on the topic of a boutique label, I wanted to show you this video. So this is an up-close and personal look at my collection, my boutique collection. I just wanted to show kind of like how I organize. So let me pull up this video. So how I organize them is I do the Arrow chunky box first, then regular Arrow, and then if there is some with like no slipcover or slipcovers, I generally try to take slipcovers. That's kind of what I like to get. But if it's an older Blu-ray that doesn't have a slipcover, it's no big deal. So I do alphabetical order in like with Arrow box sets first, or if it's like Kino, which we'll see here in a little bit. Alphabetical order slipcovers in Blu-ray or 4K, doesn't matter, they're together. And then I stop and I do no slipcovers, again in alphabetical order. That's just how I do it. So here, let's just go through it. Let's start now. So we have all my, Arrow video, box sets. And then, let's see, it goes down. We have regular Arrow video, like slipcover releases. A Gamera set. My Italian films with, the Black Manual box set by Severin. My French movies. We have Umbrella, which is small, but it will grow. We have my Criterion movies, again, small, not very much, but they'll grow. Kind of my other stuff that doesn't really have a place. My Shout/Stream Factory. And then finally, my Kino stuff, which let's just pause here. Like, look at that. This is what I was talking about, like the slipcovers. So we have like the slipcovers, Blu-ray and 4K, and then the non-slipcovers, which the non-slipcovers are smaller, but still, look how clean that is. Like, look how clean that looks, man. After filming and editing this video, I kind of got the sense of like, I kind of went off and started wandering off about why I like physical media in my collection, which I thought it was, going away from the topic, but then I thought, by me making this video and talking about my love for physical media, I'm kind of reaffirming the point of this video that physical media is making a comeback, so I'm gonna leave it all in. I'll end the video like this. I don't think this is just a fad or a trend that young people are doing because it's hot and hip. I do think there is a deeper meaning as to why people are finding physical media again. I think that this is a genuine movement, whatever you want to call it, that people are doing, and it's not just for show. The more and more we come, connected with technology and the future and all that, I think we're going to see more and more people start to pull back. I don't think we're going to go completely unplug, go off the grid like we used to. No, that's not going to happen with how interconnected everything is. But like I just said, I think we're going to see more and more people start to pull back and dial back, saying, oh, hey, let's not be connected 100% of the time. Physical media in terms of movies, I don't think is going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, just look at the recent announcement of Arrow Video getting the rights to Stranger Things, the complete series on Blu-ray and 4K. Arrow Video, a boutique, lesser-known company in terms like the grand mainstream, people's thinking, got a huge Netflix title like Stranger Things to release, for them to release on their boutique, label. I don't know what's more fascinating, the fact that Arrow Video, like a smaller company, got that, or Netflix even allowed one of their original programmings to be released on physical media. Like, both are just, like, when that news dropped, I was like, what? There was no build up to it. They literally, like, Arrow dropped like a nuclear bomb, like, here, check this out. There was no build up to it. They didn't hint at it. And that day, in terms of like physical media world, that day was wild. The fact that Netflix, allowed Arrow Video to put this out just proves the point that physical media is here to stay. Now, sure, do I think companies like Disney, Warner Bros., Paramount, etc. will slow back and maybe not even release physical media from their catalog in the future? Yeah, I do think so. Like, the bigger companies will kind of pull back, and I do think physical media will become more of a niche thing. Companies like, Arrow, Kino, Criterion, these smaller boutique labels, I think they will pick it up and make it, maybe not make it, turn it more into of a niche feeling than it already is. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, physical media is not going anywhere. At least as we know it right now. There will always be a community for such things as this. All this recent news about, loving physical media, the importance of it, I don't think it's for nothing. I think it's people realizing that it's not in a digital world, for all of its, glories and advantages, is not perfect. There's a lot of, downsides to it. And such topic of this video, one of the reasons is, having an internet connection to watch the things you love, which should not be. I mean, there's refrigerators with internet connections now, which is just, no. Collecting physical media, I think it shows people that it's just a simpler time, really. I know this ending is not pieced together. I didn't really know how to end this, but I'll just end at this. It reminds people of a simpler time. They don't have to worry about much, connected 24/7. They can just pop a movie in their Blu-ray disc, watch it. I mean, unless the power goes out, which that doesn't happen often, hopefully, but you get the idea. It's a simpler time. Don't gotta worry about much. With that being said, guys, please like and subscribe to this video, and most importantly, keep physical media alive. Keep collecting, keep sharing your collection, keep sharing your thoughts, keep telling people, hey, this release is coming out, you gotta buy this. Keep this going, because now more than ever, it's important to keep things like physical media alive and well, so hopefully we all don't become consumed by this completely digital world.